Good afternoon and welcome to Brunel University's London webinar. I am Dr. Singh and joining me is Dr. Graham Fallon. We are senior lecturers in the Brunel Business School, and during the next hour we will be talking to you through details of the MSc Business and Management courses. Throughout the presentation, please feel free to type in any questions you have. We will answer these at the end of the presentation. To ask a question, please type it into the panel in front of you and click Submit. You may need to open up the question bar on the right hand side of your screen. Please also type in your name so we can read it out when we answer your question. Well, I am Dr. Singh, as I said before, and I'm head of our research group International Business, and I teach on the MBA undergraduate programs. So I'll start by talking about why you would choose Brunel. Well, we are a research intensive university and our teaching is very much based on the latest research. We have state-of-the-art facilities, and as you are perhaps already aware, Brunel Business School won the Times Higher Education Award Business School of the Year 2013, and we also have scholarships to fund your studies. We have strong links with employers and exciting network opportunities. We are campus-based university with excellent accommodation on campus. And the building that you see on the left is the new business school that was built not long ago and which has the state-of-the-art facilities. Now in slide 4 you will see the courses which have been accredited by numerous chartered institutes. We'll talk more about these throughout the webinar as we go along. Well, we have strong focus on professional development, and we have what is very popular Business Life program, and we also have links with leading companies and organizations. The course contents of our modules are guided by Applied Research and Business School Advisory Board, which oversees its development. The advisory board is made up of academics and professionals in a variety of industries who help to develop business programs which are relevant to the need of today's stakeholders. Now, the question that must come to your mind is that where do our graduates work? But as you can see on the screen, our graduates have found jobs in Amazon, Barclays, British Airways, HSBC, Jaguar Land Rover, Microsoft, Xerox, to name a few. And the Business Life program I mentioned earlier, it imparts extracurricular opportunities for business and management studies to practice their skills. Workshops, team building, software training, course in practical management, presentation and communication skills, and much more. And all these details you can find on the links that you see on the screen. And we also have Professional Development Center, and it's an award-winning service careers service which delivers high-quality guidance, information, careers, education, work placement, and recruitment services. So once you're on the campus, you will be very much part of the system, and all the advice that you need to find jobs is available on campus itself. Now the slide 6 tells you about a number of associate memberships to the CMI which are open to graduates of Brunel Business School postgraduate programs, offering discounted full membership rates. What are the special features? Tutors are active members of World Class Center for Research, Entrepreneurship, International Business and Innovation in Emerging Markets. Now these are research centers to which all the staff belong, and they do a valuable research which is published in 3- and 4-star journals. Now slide 7 that you see, and once you decide to do the courses, you also get exemption from some of their courses, which is a huge relief to doing their degrees. And for example, in ACCA, in respect of 3 papers at foundation level, and ICA, that is Institute of Cost and Works Accountants, England and Wales, 3 papers professional stage, CIMA in respect to 2 papers certificate level, 1 paper at organizational level and 2 papers at management level. So in brief, we are quite compact campus, provide first-class education and where students feel inspired. I'll stop here because I'll hand over to my colleague Graham Fallon.
So just to introduce myself, I'm Graham Fallon and I'm the pathway leader for the MSc in management, which I'll talk about in more detail later on for you. We've now arrived at slide 8, and as you can see, slide 8 sets out for you the structure and the content of another of our master's degree suite, which is the Applied Corporate Brand Management degree. You can see set out for you, I won't read them through, a whole series of core modules which are offered for you if you choose that degree, several of which are specialist modules related specifically to corporate branding and corporate brand management. You'll see that you do also have a choice of options, and that is the case for all of our MSc degrees. And also of interest to you, I'm sure, is the fact that you will have to complete your degree with a dissertation, which is a mandatory requirement for all of our master's degrees. You'll also see that there is the opportunity for you to complete a period of professional practice. Dr. Singh mentioned to you a few minutes ago our award-winning careers service, which is located on campus, and they will actually help you to provide a placement which will be specifically relevant to your degree. Basically, as with many of the other degrees, you'll find that you're going to be exposed to many practical applications of theory if you choose ACBM. And in particular, you'll be invited to take part in seminars addressed by guest speakers from industry and brand consultancies. You'll actually be taken by academic staff on visits to high-profile brand companies and consultancies. You'll be invited to take part in the careers talks and presentations, and also a visit to the Design and Branding Museums in London, both of which are obviously course related and with a lot of exciting material waiting for you to engage with when you do that. Right, let's go on to slide number 9 if we may. And slide number 9 is another sister course, but a very different course, because this time the focus is on business intelligence and social media. I don't need to define the terms to you. Clearly, social media is one of the big happening areas in modern domestic and international business. Again, you'll see the structure is quite similar to the ones that you've seen already, looking at the other MSc degree programs. Although, as with them, you'll find there are a whole series of core modules, including a number of ones particularly specific to this degree, like, for example, business intelligence itself, mobile, social media and cloud services, professional consultancy in BI and SM, and social media. Once again, you complete your degree with a dissertation, and once again, you've got options to choose from to complete the course. And basically, technology is very much what business is about these days, so we'd expect this course to be particularly attractive, not only to people with a technology background, but also to people who feel that it's desperately important to work as close with technology as possible in order to make modern business as competitive as it can be. And I think at that point we'll go on to slide 10, please. Slide 10, again, different but similar, different in content, similar in structure. This one recognises the fact that business operates within a globalised world and that supply chains involve often worldwide links in multiple countries, not only within the European Union, but also more widely throughout the world, and of course increasingly involving emerging markets as well as developed market countries. Once again, the core modules contain a mix of the specific and the more general. In terms of the more specific core modules, we're looking at logistics and supply chain management, operations and project management, business modelling and simulation in supply chains, and procurement fundamentals. Once again, you'll be asked to complete a degree, but as with all of these programs, it will make sense for you to make that degree as closely related as possible to the subject matter that you'll find in the core and option modules. that you actually complete in terms of the taught parts of your degree. Right, I think we've done with that one. On to slide 11. And slide 11, again, the same comment applies, similar but different. This time, the focus is strongly around the area of people. People is the key resource in business, and human resource management focuses specifically on that key resource and how it can be managed to best competitive effect. You can see the specialist modules here include international and comparative human resource management. As we all know, cultures differ, employment practices differ, employment law differs, and clearly management of people has to respond to those differences in order to optimize performance in different contexts, economies and societies. So that module reflects those issues. We've got knowledge management, social networks and innovation, organisational behaviour, and HRM in context, as well as contemporary HRM, looking at policy, development and evaluation. And here there's an opportunity for successful graduates to apply to become full members of the leading professional body in this area, which is the CIPD, or the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development. On to the next slide, please. Human resources management and employment relations, again, goes on beyond the management of people within the firm to look specifically at the nature of the industrial bargaining, the industrial cooperation process. And clearly here it's a case of touching base with issues like the role of trade unions within the organisation and the way in which management can work with trade unions and the workforce to best effect. You'll find some of these core modules familiar from what I've told you regarding the last slide, but clearly here the flavour is different in terms of particularly the focus on issues in employee relations. Once again, you have the choice of options, as you can see on the slide. And once again, if you succeed and graduate from this programme, you can apply to become a full member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development, or the CIPD. Okay, I think we're ready for the next slide, please. Slide 13 is the one that I perhaps am most closely associated with. It's also one of the more complicated programmes that you'll see, in that not only do we have the structure which is now familiar to you, a mix of core modules, options and also the dissertation, but now we have a couple of other embellishments which make this degree rather different. The first you've come across in the context of other degrees before, which is the option to pursue, if you wish, a period of professional practice, which can link successfully to your dissertation in the way of actually exposing you to a body of data that you could only really access and critique if you gained a placement within a firm or within a public sector organisation, or perhaps a third sector organisation like a charity. Please note, it isn't compulsory to choose the professional practice period. I mentioned the word choose. The word choose is important because you can decide yes or no, and you can decide that once you've arrived on campus. You actually have the opportunity to gather information from careers service experts in particular. The other thing that you'll notice that's a little bit different about this slide is the dark, what would it be, purple or mauve boxes, which specify that you can actually choose one of 4 pathways when you arrive at university if you decide to follow this programme. The first is the general management pathway, which is designed perhaps mostly for those people who aren't sure if they do want to pursue a functional specialism later in their career, but they do know that they want to gain an excellent general education in management at advanced or master's degree level. However, you can see that if your background is appropriate and your interests fit, you have 3 other choices. Firstly, you can decide to follow a specialist pathway within the MSc management degree, focusing on marketing and branding management. In the past few years, when that option has been available, it has proved to be popular amongst quite a few students. A second option, which maybe requires a little bit more explanation, is creative industries, which in this case particularly focuses on the role of the press and the traditional media in terms of actually working with business. It's a business in itself, but it also reports on other businesses and works with them, or perhaps sometimes against them. So we've worked there with the Department of Journalism Studies to offer a couple of specialist modules, as you can see from the matrix, which enable you to add to your core studies in issues such as entrepreneurship, financial resources management, business planning, strategic management, by looking specifically at creative contexts and media issues. If you choose that pathway, those two options are not options, they're actually compulsory. Going back to marketing and brand management, if you choose that particular pathway, then international marketing and corporate branding theory and issues become compulsory. Finally, on the right-hand side of this slide, we have technology and innovation management. The same rules apply. The issues concerned are fairly obvious, I think, to all, but there you'll see that in addition to your more generalist core modules, you're also required to study two specialist modules in the form of knowledge management, social networks and innovation, and technology management. Once again, I repeat my comment of earlier on, we would encourage students who choose one of those three specialist pathways to choose appropriate dissertation topics. Okay, I think maybe we're due to go on to the next slide, which is slide 14, if I'm not mistaken, which is marketing. Marketing is a subject that's clear to, I think, most of us in terms of the issues, the content and the purpose. Clearly, in contrast to HRM, we're looking outside the business this time to the way in which the business relates, communicates, sells to its potential customers. And once again, you can see the structure is as before. We have specifically marketing-related modules for you to study, such as marketing communications, international marketing, marketing principles, and strategic marketing management. Also, the psychological and anthropological study of consumer behaviour. But again, you can see that there is the core of more generalist modules, such as, for example, the skills module, understanding business and management research, which underpins the dissertation. Once again, you have a number of options to choose from, as you can see. Okay, I think we're ready for the next slide, please. And this looks a simple slide to talk to because it's just thanking you for your attention on behalf of Dr. Singh and myself. I hope that some of the information that we've just explained to you has been useful in helping you to firm up your decisions. And now is your opportunity to ask any questions that you wish, which we'll attempt to answer for you between us at the end of the presentation. Thank you very much indeed.
Hi, your question is on global supply chain management, and you have three sub questions here. The first one is, what are the recommended required study hours per week? Now, the answer is very simple. Each module will have its own study guide. The study guide has got a detailed description of the course, the textbooks, the study hours required, and which will specify what are the official recommendation, and plus of course it depends how much students want to put in. So all of this is very well described in the study guide. And your question number 2 is, for those who haven't studied for a few years, how can students prepare for these SCM studies? Well, the answer is very simple. Nothing is impossible once your mind is made up. It's not a higher mathematics or rocket science that you can't do. It's a textbook based, journal articles based, and fairly knowledge based module, and the literature is available everywhere. So it is doable even if you have been out of practice for a few years out of studies. So we can assure you that this is very much doable even if you have been out of action for some time. The final question is, what's planned for students in 2016-17 program? And if you look at slide number 10, which my colleague Dr. Graham Fallon explained, and if you this slide tells you that you have one module on logistics and supply chain management. Second module is on operations and project management. The third one is on business modeling and simulation in supply chains. And the fourth one is procurement fundamentals. Fifth one is global outsourcing. And next one is understanding business and management research, followed by dissertation. So these are core modules, which are the ones which you have to take to complete your MSc. And plus, of course, you can choose two optionals listed on the list. I can read the interesting ones for you if you like marketing, strategy, ethics, governance. You can choose any two of these. But you also have options you can choose from knowledge management, strategic management, and business intelligence. To sort of summarize, there are some core modules that you have to take, plus two optionals. I hope that answers your questions.
Yeah. In addition, you might find it interesting to think about the company visit program that forms a very important part of this degree. And I know that over the past few years, there's been a regular practice of visiting the state-of-the-art Jaguar Land Rover plant just outside Birmingham, where students are not only taken around the shop floor, but they're also exposed to presentations by middle management involving quite wide-ranging introduction to the nature of the company and clearly to its operations and logistics management, which are of particular interest to GSCM students. And the other thing that we should maybe mention is that clearly it's important with any degree to try to top it up by joining a professional body, which will both help to complement the material that you've been introduced to on the degree, but also, of course, to help you to network more widely, to obtain employment and then to obtain promotions once you actually start your professional career in the area. So here we have the arrangement for successful graduates to become full members of two relevant professional bodies, one of which is the Chartered Institute of Purchasing and Supply, or CIPS, and the other one is the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, which is CILT. So you can see that what happens on the degree and the benefits to you go way beyond the classroom. In addition, we hope that if you do decide to sign up for that particular program, you'll become an active member of the alumni network, so you won't lose your contact with Brunel even once you've graduated and obviously begun to move up through the employment ladder in the supply chain management field. I hope between us, Dr. Singh and I have helped to answer some of you. You asked the question, what kind of professional practice will we be doing? Basically, we are working very, very closely with our careers service to identify a whole series of placement options which are relevant to the various degrees that we've talked about this morning in our MSc suite. So depending on which degree program you're interested in, there will be a specific range of professional placement options which will be relevant to marketing, to HRM, to supply chain management, to accounting, to general management, or whatever your interest might be. And our staff will go to considerable lengths in terms of helping you to improve your CV, to gain interview practice, to locate potential placements, to help prepare you for the interview when you're actually ready to take part in it. If you're successful, what we normally ask students to do is to complete a 14-week placement period, which can be in the London area, it can be other parts of the UK, it can be in foreign countries. It doesn't particularly matter, provided you're satisfied and we're satisfied that it is of sufficient quality to meet your needs. Whilst you're on the placement programme, you'll be given a range of duties to do in negotiation with your new line manager. So clearly what we would hope is that we would be able to work with the company to ensure that those duties are firstly at an appropriate level and secondly in content terms complement what you've already done in terms of study on your modules at Brunel. We also encourage students, but we're very liberally minded. We don't compel the students to do this. We encourage students, if possible, to relate their dissertation work to the content of their placement. So, for example, if you were given a 3-month project to do as the core of what your placement involved, then it would make sense, if possible, to try to locate a related academic theory and to use the project as a vehicle for gathering data to test that theory. Maybe through access to company reports and other internal documents that you have access to with the company's agreement. And secondly, perhaps in connection with a program of interviews which they might help you to organise, particularly if, of course, the area of your interest is related to your project and therefore related to the company's needs. We think the placement programs are excellent, and the feedback that we're getting from students as those programs become more numerous is in terms of how valuable they find the experience and how well it fits together with their core degree studies at Brunel. I hope that helps to answer your question. You asked a very good question, which is, can we explain what is the difference between the standalone degree, MSc Marketing, and the pathway within MSc Management called Marketing and Branding Management? In a way, I've given part of the answer already. MSc Marketing is a specialist marketing degree. That's what it's about. We'd expect people who apply for places on that program to have an already developed marketing background and the knowledge and expertise that they can therefore bring to that degree, which we would expect them to have. And secondly, we'd expect those people to have a very clear vision of a career that they'd hope to spend within the specialist marketing area of management. MSc Management, Marketing and Branding is different because you can see, hopefully, that it lives within a generalised degree programme, which some people see as being a little bit like an MBA for people who haven't got existing supervisory or management experience. You'll find that if you were to apply for and be accepted onto the MSc Management, Marketing and Branding, you would be studying a number of generalist management core modules, such as strategic management, such as financial resources management, etc. But within that context, you'd be able to carry out a specialised study relevant to what may possibly be a career choice for you in the future, or maybe just a desire to be able to work more closely with marketers or with brand managers than you otherwise would be able to do as a general manager. So in a way, one difference is in terms of the content. That's the obvious one. Perhaps the less obvious differences are in terms of the fact that we wouldn't expect you to have the same relevant specialised marketing experience to bring to the course. And secondly, we would expect that some students who follow that particular pathway might go into marketing as a specialism, but others might not in the future. So in a way, it's between the choice, the difference, if you like, is between a highly specialised study, bringing highly specialised skills in and following a highly specialised career pathway afterwards in the case of MSc Marketing. And in the case of the MSc Management, Marketing and Branding Award, it's designed more for the generalist, but with a considerable marketing interest.
Himanshi, this is an interesting question. We understand that the end result of doing all the studies and getting a degree is to get a good job. What we have on campus is a very well, nicely oiled career advisory service, and of course we get all the material like regular dailies and the magazines and the journals, and we also have the recruitment fair. And if the student is proactive, there is no reason why he or she wouldn't find a long-term job. There have been examples in the past where students have successfully done so. So whereas we provide all the facilities, help, backup, encouragement, references and everything, it's the student's initiative that will land him or her a job or not in the long run. I hope that answers your question.
I answered rather a related question from you, didn't I, a couple of minutes ago, which was what the difference was between MSc Marketing and MSc Management, Marketing and Branding Management. The MSc Marketing and Branding Management is not accredited in the same way, but of course you would have the opportunity to seek student membership of the Chartered Institute of Marketing if you wished while you were actually pursuing that programme. The other option that would give you, if you chose that rather than the MSc Marketing, is of course the opportunity to touch base with the Chartered Management Institute that my colleague Dr. Singh mentioned half an hour or so ago at the start of the presentation. So in a way, you couldn't expect the same specialist accreditation for a non-specialist award as you would for a specialist award, but nonetheless you would have the opportunity to link up with two professional bodies depending on your particular existing interests and also of course crucially on your career aspirations once you graduate.
Hiya, can you hear me? I hope so. Well, your question is, can you take a PhD program after graduating from a taught master's? Simple answer is yes. If you have good grades and if you have a right topic in mind. We have a very large PhD program. We presently have 150 or so odd students doing their doctoral studies in marketing, in business management, IB, and other areas. So yes, the route to doctoral program is very much open after the MSCs. I hope that answers the question. Whether it is with us or anywhere else, not necessarily with us, but you can apply anywhere. I think the qualification is recognized all over the world, so that is a big plus on your side. We are fairly good, very well ranked university. So any degree from us will qualify you for a PhD program here or abroad.
A very high proportion of our student body in any given year will come from either a European Union partner country of the UK, which may be the case with you, or from the deeper abroad, if you like, beyond the European Union's frontiers. We have students, for example, on MSc Management at the moment from India, from China, from Brazil, from Russia, from various parts of Eastern Europe, as well as obviously UK students. So I think as members of staff, most of us are very familiar indeed with working closely with international students, both as PhD supervisors and also at master's degree level, and understanding what the distinctive needs of international students are. This doesn't only apply to us people who happen to be course leaders, but also to all of the members of staff who you're likely to encounter in the lecture theatre or in a seminar context. So rest assured, we do understand international students, and indeed Brunel prides itself on having a very, very successful infrastructure that supports international students like yourself perhaps, from the moment that you first make your application right through to the point at which you graduate and beyond. We've recently introduced a new model of student support focusing around the nomination of particular members of staff such as ourselves as personal tutors. And what we try to do there is to establish and to maintain an even closer working relationship with international students along with domestic UK or EU students in order to make sure that they have the opportunity to voice any concerns, worries, issues or anxieties so that we can help them directly or signpost them to the many support mechanisms that exist across campus, whether in terms of academic issues, whether in terms of financial or pastoral issues, or whatever it might be, to support you every inch of the way. So if you can think of it in terms of always having an available friend, an academic friend who understands the university, who understands the structure of the support mechanism, and understands very, very closely the kind of issues that international students might face. I think you'll find that if you come to Brunel, you won't be short of support if you do have issues or problems or even positive things that you want to discuss.
Hi, the next question from Himanshi, that's you again, welcome. You are asking how many students get enrolled at once for a general MSc management program? Well, the answer is that it varies from year to year. Our total intake for all MSc programs is around 300, and within that it can vary from 50 to 100, 75. We don't know yet. It varies from year to year. But there is the class size, we operate in such a way, we keep the class size in check, because we all know that if class size is very large, it's difficult to handle, and it's very small, then it doesn't inspire. So we try to keep it a reasonable size class, which is inspiring to interact, to have seminars and workshops. And also, and not too large, because then the problems of large classes start to operate in. So I hope that roughly answers your question. So it really depends. Yeah. Oh, hello. The next question is: do the school offer strategic management MSc? Well, if you're asking that, do we have an MSc program especially with that title, the answer is no. The reason is this, that whatever people do in business have a strategic element to it. So if you look at our MSc programs, all of them have embedded in them, directly or indirectly, a fair amount of strategic content in it. So it's like a tool. I mean, strategic management is like a tool which is used in the business, and we teach this tool across all the MSc programs. But as such, with that title, we do not have an MSc program. But as I said, whatever you do in business has a strategic element to it, and that is covered fairly well in all the MSc degrees. I hope that answers your question.
Hello, Oluwole. Nice to speak to you. Your second question was, in the course of study for project management or logistics, is there a way of engaging students in internship? You're most likely to meet that study, to carry out that study as part of the Global Supply Chain Management degree, I would suspect. And of course, Global Supply Chain Management does have arrangements for student placements or internships. Now, I'm not a careers professional, but as I understand it, the difference is that internships typically aren't paid and placements typically are. I suspect that most students would prefer paid placements if possible, and it is the case that the vast majority of the placement opportunities that are made available through the careers service at Brunel are actually paid. Clearly the rate of pay would have to be negotiated between the applicant and the company before, during or after an interview. But the answer to your question is yes. And you've asked, do we have to pay for placement as part of the course fees? As at the time of speaking, as of now, the university does actually charge an additional £800 to cover the costs involved in terms of the specialist dedicated time from the careers service that's involved in helping you through the process of strengthening your CV presentation, helping you with job search interview practice, and then to obtain a placement. However, past evidence suggests that students would treat that as a very, very useful investment because of the many opportunities through networking and through additional inside knowledge that the placement creates to enable you to get a better job more quickly. Sustainability, Entrepreneurship and Design MSc. The answer is simple. We don't have one at the moment. We might very well develop one in the future, but I would point out that entrepreneurship features as a module, often twinned with business planning, on a number of our MSc degree programs, including MSc Management, where it's a core module. We do have quite a number of specialist academics who have knowledge of the entrepreneurship field, who actively publish in 3- and 4-star journals, and also supervise PhD students within that area. So, funnily enough, you pointed to an area of considerable strength in the school and the offer there. Thank you very much indeed.
That's the last question.
Right, that was the last question, I'm afraid. Thank you, Oliver. Our thanks to everybody who's taken part in this webinar this morning. Thank you very much indeed for attending. I hope you found it interesting and informative. If you have any other questions following the webinar, you still have the chance to communicate them to us by email. So please email admissions@brunel.ac.uk and we'll get an answer to you as quickly as possible. Best wishes to you all, and we look forward to seeing you, a number of you on campus.